Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for standing by. Welcome to the Question Kids Asks or Don't Take Talking with Children and Grandchildren About Your Cancer conference call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Following the presentation, we will conduct a question and answer session. Instructions will be provided at that time for you to queue up for questions. If anyone has any difficulties hearing the conference, please press the star followed by 1 for operator assistance at any time. I would like to remind everyone that this conference call is being recorded on Wednesday, February 11th, 2009 at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and will now turn the conference over to Iris Pizon, Program Manager. Please go ahead.
Ovarian Cancer Canada welcomes you to this session of our telephone education series for women with ovarian cancer and their caregivers. Today's session, Questions Kids Ask or Don't, Talking with Children and Grandchildren About Your Cancer, will be given by Andrea Warnick and Katrina Longfield. Andrea Warnick is a registered nurse and a grief counselor at Mount Sinai Hospital's Max and Beatrice Wolf Center for Children's Grief and Palliative Care. Andrea provides support and education to families in which a child or teenager is experiencing the death of a parent or guardian. Katrina Longfield is a registered nurse who for the past 4 years has worked as a staff nurse on the inpatient palliative care unit at Princess Margaret Hospital in Toronto. Katrina also teaches a college course on living with dying and co-facilitates palliative care teaching days at the Princess Margaret Hospital. You are not sure on how to start a conversation about your cancer. You don't know exactly what to say and how to say it. This teleconference will help you with this, and it may dispel myths and correct misconceptions about talking with children about your cancer and the possibility that you might die. Discover with Andrea and Katrina innovative and practical strategies for communicating with children. I am Iris Pizon, Program Manager of Ovarian Cancer Canada. OCC endeavors to provide women with ovarian cancer and their caregivers the information that they need. We hope that you will find this session interesting and that you will address your questions to our speakers. To encourage listeners to ask questions, just give a first name. Feel free to provide the operator with an alias if you wish. The previous telephone education sessions are available on YouTube at www.youtube.com/Ovarian Cancer Canada, or for the French version and translation in this case, it's at www.youtube.com/OvarCanada. Videos have been posted in 10-minute segments and ordered in parts to make it easy for you to listen and later return to where you left off. Please subscribe to YouTube. I would like to acknowledge Christine Lewis for her translation work today. A reminder to the speakers to speak slowly. Today we are delighted to have survivors, family members, and health professionals from across the country in the audience. We hope that you can help us with your feedback. An evaluation form will be sent to attendees via email or regular mail. And now, please welcome Andrea Warnick and Katrina Longfield.
Thank you, Iris, for that kind introduction. My name is Katrina Longfield, and Andrea and I are both thrilled to be here participating in this event. Speaking to children about a parent's illness is often extremely difficult. And as parents, there's often a sense that we need to protect our children, and often that protection translates into not telling children bad news until absolutely necessary. Hopefully over the course of this presentation you'll discover some innovative strategies and support in how to start and have these discussions with children. During this presentation, Andrea and I will cover two main areas. I will start out by dispelling myths and correcting misconceptions about talking with children about cancer. I will use the research to show how what the research says about supporting children whose parents or grandparents have cancer. Andrea will then provide strategies for communicating with children about a parent's illness and also how to support them through the dying of a parent. Throughout both our conversations, we will use examples from our practice to help illustrate key points. So I'm going to talk about myths and misconceptions. What actually holds us back from having these discussions with our children? One of the first ones that often as adults we tell ourselves that the child does not know. And therefore, why do we need to shatter their sense of safety by discussing the fact that their parent has cancer? But it's important to realize that by not talking about something does not mean that we're not communicating. Children are great observers, so they'll notice if mum is sick and if mum is going through chemo, the changes that are happening to mum and that mum isn't able to do the things that she was in the past. The second point is we feel this need to protect children, and protection often means, why do we need to tell them now? If mum's getting a treatment while the child's in school, why do I need to burden my child with the fact that mum has cancer? Also, we often say to ourselves, the child is too young to understand, but children understand at their developmental level. And so it is important to talk to the child, no matter what age they are, about the parent's cancer. The second point is that we feel that the child will not be able to cope with the fact that mum has cancer. And it's often, by not telling the children, we're actually leaving them to cope on their own without providing them with the supports that will help them cope. And children are wonderful and resilient and have incredible capacity to cope with the sadness of a mum having cancer. And a final point, what often holds adults back from having these conversations, is the fear that we will do irreparable harm to the child if we say or do the wrong thing. That we're not equipped to have these conversations and we don't want to hurt the child. But now I'd like to turn to what the research actually says. I'm going to start off by reading a quote from 1998. And although this quote is 10 years old, it has been, it is so important in what it says, and it has been found by studies that have been done since then. So the quote is from a study done by Kroll, Barnes, and Stein that were looking at whether there was any correlation between a child's stress level and whether or not they were informed about their parents' illness. The quote is, "Children's level of anxiety are related to whether they are told about the illness and to the quality of the communication with their parents." And what the research shows is that a children's level of anxiety is much lower when they are informed of a parent's illness and when they are able to have the questions answered and be supported. A study by McPherson in 2005 had the same findings. And multiple research studies have shown that children's level of anxiety and distress is significantly lower when the adults around them communicate openly about the illness and about the impending death if that is the direction that the illness is taking. It's extremely important that a child's questions are answered in an open and forthright manner. McPherson did a study in 2005 where she also looked at what holds healthcare professionals back from having these discussions. Because as a parent, you're in hospital, you may go to the healthcare providers asking for direction on how to talk with your children. And healthcare providers are often also inhibited in having these conversations